it's me. No intro music, huh, Chris?
Sorry,
Thanks.
forgot it. Couldn't remember a song.
So here we are. It's been about an hour. The Bundt cake was in for 50 minutes exactly. I tested it at 40 and it was still wet. So I tested it at 50 minutes, and I have this plate here to show you when I took the skewer out, this is what showed, nothing. So that's what you're looking for, a nice clean skewer. So we are at the moment, the big reveal. When you take the cake out, it's face up, just as you put it in the oven. When you take it out, you let it sit for 5 minutes, and it sits up. Then you flip it like this for another 5 minutes, and now we're ready to take off the pan. It's very hot still, and you'll see I have it sitting on a cooling rack on top of a sheet pan that's lined with foil, and that's because we're going to pour ganache over it, and then that way the pan will catch the remaining ganache. But so we have it on here, and I give it a couple little taps. Give it a little shake, kinda. And there we go. You can see nothing's stuck. I swear it's always a very anxious feeling when you have to take this off, especially with this pan because of these crazy crevices in there. Look how deep those are. And you can see them on the cake. I mean, look at how sharp that is almost. But it came out. So, put that to the side. And if you look from the top, it almost looks like a big flower. It's a really pretty pan. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the ganache because we're gonna let this cool a little bit. The ganache is very simple. I use Ghirardelli semi-sweet bars. These come in 4-ounce packages, and so you're gonna need 2. And really you could do this with 4 ounces, but I always kind of do an 8-ounce to 8-ounce ratio for my ganache. So that's 8 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate, and then you're gonna want 8 ounces of heavy whipping cream. Now I've already poured my heavy whipping cream into my small saucepan. But before I did that, while this is still closed, you give it a very good shake. Because the thing with heavy whipping cream, it can kind of get stuck inside and get little chunks. And the little chunks are okay, but if you give it a really good shake, they'll all come loose. Okay, and so now we have our cream, and we're gonna come to the stovetop. And again, we don't want it too high because you don't want this to like come up too fast. And what we're going to be looking for now, I kind of just give it a little stir as I'm going. We're going to be looking for a very, very low simmer, beginning simmer stages, to where you're going to just have the bubbles around the edge and maybe a couple here and there that have come in the middle of the milk. Or excuse me, the cream. And what's very important with this is that you don't leave it. You don't like put this on the stove and walk away, because you do not want it to be boiling. If you boil it, dump it. You can't use it. And if you've ever boiled milk or cream, any kind of dairy products like that, you know that what it can do is boil over, and it does it very fast. When I used to work in the bakery, I used to have to make steam kettle size, so it would be like this big and about this around with, I think we do 1 gallon to 2 gallons of milk at a time. And I made the mistake one day of walking away to go do something else, and in a moment, it boiled over everywhere into like the bakery. It's awful.
For shame.
Yes, for shame was right. So it was all that milk I wasted, and then I had to clean up all of that, and it was terrible. So some people just leave their cream sitting on the stove and they don't touch it. I kind of move it around a little bit because I don't like how if it gets how it cooks on the bottom and kind of gets stuck on the bottom almost. I don't personally like that. And I feel that if I kind of move it around a bit, it helps it come up to temperature faster. I could be completely not right, I don't know. That's my theory. Then I kind of just let it sit for a moment, kind of keeping an eye on it. I know this is very exciting viewing for you. Once it starts to come up, it doesn't take very long at all. And this is only 8 ounces of cream. And again, you can do 4 ounces to 4 ounces. It's always going to be equal. Some ganache recipes won't have it equal. I have always found that my ganache turns out best if it's equal parts of both. I can see that there's steam coming off from the cream. I don't know if Chris you can see that on the camera. Probably not. But there is steam that's coming off, so I know that it's going to start getting to the point, the temperature of what I need. You just really keep an eye on it. And the problem too is that you don't want it to get too hot, because then your ganache isn't going to turn out well. It can turn out grainy if it's too hot. And we don't want that. What we're looking for once we add it to the milk. And I just realized that I forgot to chop all the rest of the chocolate.
I saw that.
So, hang on a second. We're going to turn that off really fast. We're going to come over here and chop this rest of this really quick. And I just have the 2 chunks of chocolate on top of each other. And you can just use a chef's knife. See? Everyone makes mistakes. It's not really a mistake. I just forgot. Got sidetracked. Okay. So once you have all your chocolate chopped, you're going to put it in a bowl. Okay. All right. Now we're going to come back here. And I have to say, I have never done that ever. Ever. So that was kind of funny. Okay. So you got to see my little mishap. Live Facebook, that's alright. Now we're almost there. It's getting more steamy. Alright, so now I kind of stop stirring because I want to start to see if the bubbles are developing around the edge. I can see it's starting. And I can hear it. I can also hear that it's cooking and the bubbles are forming, and you can see here, if you get on that side there, Chris, you can see those bubbles. It's almost there. Now at this point, I kind of just watch it. And I'm waiting just until there's a couple that I see in the middle. And I can tell like the whole thing is moving. That's when I know I turn it off. And I come over here and you just pour it on top of your chocolate. And at this point, you're going to let it sit for a minute. At least a minute. You don't touch it, you just leave it. And I think it's pretty funny that I forgot to chop the chocolate. And put it in the bowl first.
Chop the chocolate.
Chop the chocolate. So that's pretty funny. I mean, I've probably made ganache, I don't know, hundreds of times, and I've never done that. So it's weird.
Is it okay to use a bowl from 1950 to cook with?
Ideally, if you have a bowl that's from the 60s, old Pyrex, that's the best. Why I like this bowl, and this is my go-to ganache bowl, is because it has these little handles, but this is a pouring spout. And so I can just pour out through that spout. And I love it. And it's the perfect size. And yes, it's very old. I think I got this at a thrift store years ago. So at this point, it's been about a minute. And you're taking a small whisk, and you're just going to go into the bottom, and you just start, not whisking, but, you know, whisking about a little bit. And you're just doing this, and you're sitting here, and you're wondering, well, it's not really doing much. But it is. And you just keep going, and all of a sudden, you'll see, in a moment, it all starts to just come together. It's really a beautiful thing. You keep going. You'll see that it's incorporating. And you'll keep standing here and you're like, wait, but what are you doing? You're not stirring it. Give it a second. You don't want to go crazy with it. And as you keep just moving about in the middle at the bottom of the bowl, slowly and slow, you can feel that the thickness it's all coming together. And you see, all of a sudden, there it is. There is your beautiful ganache. And at this point, then you can kind of come around your bowl. Isn't that amazing?
It's mesmerizing, is what Lenny says.
Yeah.
She's hypnotized.
It really is. I mean, and that's it. There you have beautiful, glossy, shiny, smooth ganache. And all it took was chopping some chocolate, scalding some cream, letting it sit for a minute, and just being patient. That's the thing. You don't want to go in there and start really stirring. You give it that moment and you just let it do what it needs to do. You let that cream just fold into that chocolate on its own, and it comes together. So now, come over here. And you can do as much or as little as you want. You know, some people maybe you just want to have the cake like this, and that's fine. But as I always say, ganache makes everything better. So we're going to start to just pour it on top. Alright, now I didn't use it all. I can come down on the sides. You can see like over here it's come down more. This cake, this pan, you know, it has these crevasses like that, or crevices. So I'm getting a glare from the tin foil. I can't see at points. And just come down. And nothing is perfect, you know.
Emily says, "Oh dear Lord, that looks so good."
I tell you, Emily.
I wish you could be here.
I wish you could be here too to have some with us.
Maybe if you drive by, we could throw some in through the car window. Just open up your mouth. We'll chuck it. Hopefully we'll hit your cake hole.
So that's it. And this can stay out, you know, well covered once it cools completely, because right now it's still very hot. And if you put it on, putting it on this plate, and you'll just want to make sure to keep it covered very good, and it can stay out for, you know, a few days if it lasts that long. Or you can put it in the fridge if you don't feel comfortable with keeping ganache on the counter. I did just do some research on that, because I always felt that because ganache has cream in it, you really should store it in the fridge. But they say that you can leave it out, and then it will be fine. So you can do what you please. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you for watching. And I'll do something next week. I'm not sure yet. Maybe I'll do a lemon and blueberry. Somebody mentioned that, and that's a really good combination. Or I don't know what. We'll see. If you have ideas, you know, send them to me. Thanks again, everybody. Thank you, Chris, for doing this for me. I appreciate it. And have a good day, everybody. Stay safe. Bye.